So let me call the meeting to order now, and I want to welcome everyone who is listening in or seeing us to our meeting today. Public notice, please, Ada.
Adequate public notice has been given pursuant to the Open Publics Meeting Act. Notice has been posted on the board's website and has been emailed to the Department of State and to newspapers of broad circulation within the state.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Holden?
Here.
Commissioner Solomon?
Here.
Commissioner Shivakula?
Here.
Commissioner Gordon? President Fiorelliso?
Here. And our next regularly scheduled meeting?
Our next regular board meeting is scheduled for Wednesday, October 28th at 10 a.m. via teleconference.
Thank you. We will be having an executive session today, and the following items are going to be discussed in executive session. Under Clean Energy, 8A, in the matter of extension of the RFP for the Clean Energy Program Administrator. And also under Clean Energy, 8F, in the matter of award of a contract in furtherance of the matter of the implementation of Executive Order 8 and Executive Order 92, offshore wind. We're also going to be looking at miscellaneous item 9A, in executive session in the matter of the implementation of 2018 regarding the establishment of zero emission certificate program for eligible nuclear plants. The board will be taking action on these items during regular session. Executive session, I anticipate 30 to 40 minutes. Will the Attorney General's office please explain the justification for going into executive session?
Yes, good morning, Commissioners.
Good morning.
Clean energy items 8A and 8F, as well as miscellaneous item A, all fall within the contract negotiation and attorney-client privilege exceptions to the Open Public Meetings Act. These exceptions are found in New Jersey Statute 10:4-12B7. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We are in executive session, and please dial in. extend your best wishes to him. Also, I would like to announce that we have one of our interns returning as a full-time employee. Ryan Reagan is coming back as Commissioner Holden's aide. She was in the Division of Regional and Federal Affairs, along with Joe DeLosa and Emily Smithman and Cynthia Holland before Cynthia deserted us. And we want to welcome Brian back. She was really a superstar as an intern. And I think, Commissioner Holden, you're fortunate to have her. And I look forward to seeing her again because she was in an awful lot of meetings regarding FERC and PJM and so on. So sharp young woman, and happy to have her part of the BPU family. Do any other commissioners wish to make any opening remarks?
Yeah, I just want to congratulate Senator Commissioner Bob Gordon on his complex, and hopefully he listens to Gail and sits there by himself experiencing Gordon complex.
Right.
Thank you
They
very
may
much.
have a vaccine for that soon.
You know, I can reserve one for you too.
I won't be single though.
I want to say I took a tour of the complex, and it is lovely. You did an excellent
Good,
job.
very nice.
Very beautiful. And I like that it's convenient to the CVS. So if you do need, any drugs, I think Bob, you said they're going to put a conveyor belt in there.
Yeah, I suggested a conveyor belt connecting it to the CVS, but don't know if it'll happen.
Well, it's good that the drug supplier is right there.
Right.
Oh my gosh, okay. Okay.
But yeah, that's wonderful. And senior housing is so important to so many of our citizens. And I remember when I was an elected official, we finally got through senior housing in Livingston, and it was a long, hard fight, believe me.
Yeah.
And but it's become more and more acceptable, and a service that really helps to keep so much knowledge and historical perspective by being able to keep our seniors in our communities. And so that's great. Madam Secretary, the consent agenda, please.
Thank you, Mr. President, and good morning, everyone. On the following consent agenda items, 1A, 2A, 2B, 2C, 2D, 2E, 2F, 4A, 7A, and 9A.
So moved.
Second,
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Now let's go right into our regular agenda. And the first item revolves around audits. And Alice, the first one is 1A.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Good
morning.
morning, Alice.
Good
How are
morning.
you today?
I'm great. It's a beautiful
Good.
day. This agenda item involves proposed amendments to NJAC 14:4 at SEC, specifically subchapter 5, Energy Licensing and Registration. On May 10th, 2019, Governor Phil Murphy signed bills S604 and S605 into law. The law provides that third-party electric power and natural gas supplier licenses issued by the Board of Public Utilities shall not expire so long as the licensee pays to the board a license renewal fee accompanied by a timely and complete annual information update form prescribed by the board. The rule changes reflect the new law and provides for other modifications that will make the licensing and registration process more efficient. The board authorized publication of the proposed regulations in the New Jersey Register for public comments on December 20th, 2019. Comments were received by the New Jersey Division of Rate Counsel on June 1st. The Retail Energy Supply Association and the New Jersey Large Energy Users Coalition on April 3rd of 2020. Staff received the comments and determined that several areas of the proposed regulation should be removed for further discussion, resulting in substantial changes and the need to request authorization to republish the proposed regulations without those sections in the New Jersey Register for public comment. The amended regulations are simply applying the law and extending it to the registrants in addition to the licensees. Under the proposed regulations, the board will still have the authority to
Oops. Uh-oh.
Throws up there, Alice. Alice, you may want to sign off and sign back in.
I hope the election works better than this.
Alice, I think you're good. Yeah, Alice, can you talk?
Oh, didn't you hear me this whole time?
No, you froze.
You were frozen.
I was frozen this whole time.
No, not the whole time.
Almost.
No, you were probably
Oh.
halfway through your presentation and then you froze.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's not your fault.
Well, let's see. So we did receive comments. Did you hear that?
Yep.
Okay. So we reviewed the comments and there were several areas of the proposed regulations that we felt were in need of further discussion. We removed those sections. And so because this resulted in a substantial change, we are required to republish the proposed regulations without those sections in the New Jersey Register and release it for comment. The amended regulations are simply applying the law and extending it to registrants in addition to licensees. And under the proposed regulations, the board will still have the right, and the authority to deny, suspend, or revoke a license or registration. And staff recommends that the board authorize republication of the amended proposed regulation in the New Jersey Register for public comments, which will be due at the end of October.
So
Did you hear-
moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments for Alice?
Yeah, Mr. President, Alice, there's some stakeholders presented contrasting views. What does that mean?
I'm sorry, you mean the sections that were removed for further comment?
Yeah, I mean, just it's part of the background you provided that in the memo.
Yeah, we had put in there that
The counts, right? Customer counts. Yeah.
certain end users, such as those that they're very sophisticated, large volume end users that buy on the wholesale market directly themselves. And we were saying that they would not need to file applications with us, to make that clear to them, that they would not have to file license applications. And in so doing that, we had to define who they were. And in the definition, there were certain questions that were raised by various stakeholders, because we had put in there that if there were any clean energy rules or requirements or any rules from the board on the quality of the gas supply or the type of supplies that they were bringing into the state, that they would continue to apply. However, that raised some concerns and issues with respect to that, because these are end users, not third-party suppliers, and not utilities. So we felt that there should be further discussion of that. We were not changing any requirements. We were just really basically saying, it should be further, if they do require, if they're required to do that today, they would be required to do that after this rule, but it did raise some questions. Also, there were some questions with respect to confidentiality issues as to what items in an application should remain confidential. And there were varying opinions on that. And we felt that further discussion should be held on that. So we removed those sections for further discussion and left it pretty simple and straightforward with respect to implement the law, the changes in the law, and some other cleanup issues along the way, but mainly that. So we're asking to republish it in the register without those sections in need of further discussion, and that's what's before you today.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments for Alice? Hearing none, roll call, Ada.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes,
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Thank you, Alice.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.
You too. That brings us to energy, and Stacy, you only have one item today, but it involves Rockland Electric and their societal benefit charge.
Correct. Good morning, commissioners. Can you hear me
Good
okay?
morning. Very well, thank you.
Yes.
So far. On April 1st, Rockland Electric Company filed its annual cost recovery filing for review and approval of over or under recovered costs collected through its societal benefits charge. The petition sought revisions to the demand side management and clean energy program components of the SBC rate and requested a decrease in the total SBC rate to reflect an anticipated over collection of approximately $800,000. Through discovery, the company updated its proposed revenue requirement to reflect actual results through July 31st and resulted in an anticipated over collection of approximately $668,000. The parties have executed a stipulation which would allow Rockland to implement revised SBC component rates consistent with the update. As a result of the stipulation, a typical residential customer will see a decrease in their annualized monthly bill of 29 cents. Staff recommends the board issue an order approving the stipulation and directing Rockland to file revised tariffs by November 1st.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? for
yeah,
Stacy?
Mr. President, thank you. Stacy, quick question. Under the SPC component programs, it's a demand side management is included. Are we still doing demand side management, or I thought
So
we stopped
what's
it? Yeah.
recovered in the demand side management programs for the electric companies are their legacy demand
Legacy.
side management programs. So
Okay.
there's very little in there.
Right.
Anyone else? Roll call, Ada.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula, Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes, yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Thank you, Stacy.
Thanks, everyone. Have a good one.
You too.
Thanks.
That brings us to cable television. And Luanda, you have 2 items on today, and let's see what 3A is all about.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good morning, commissioners. Can you hear me?
Very well, Luanda, thank you.
Okay. This matter concerns a joint petition of Charter Communications Incorporated and Spectrum New York Metro LLC, or SNYM, formerly known as Time Warner Cable New York City LLC, which was filed with the board on September 16th, 2020, seeking expedited board approval for a proposed pro forma internal restructuring by Charter and SNYM. SNYM is a wholly owned subsidiary of Charter Communications and currently holds franchises to provide cable television service in both the New York City metropolitan area, as well as 14 municipalities located in Bergen and Hudson counties in New Jersey, known as the Bergen System. Under the proposed restructuring, Charter intends to separate the New York and the New Jersey franchises and assets by creating a new subsidiary where Charter's cable franchises in New Jersey will reside. Pursuant to a draft reorganization agreement, SNYM will establish Spectrum New Jersey LLC, or SNJ, as a new 100% owned direct subsidiary, where all of New Jersey's cable franchises and assets will be transferred into. This transaction will allow Charter to separately decide going forward whether to provide a guarantee or pledge assets from either or both of its New York and New Jersey subsidiaries when it issues secured debt. Most importantly, SNJ will be designated as a non-pledger of assets and non-guarantor of debt from its parent companies, Charter Communications Operating LLC, Time Warner Cable LLC, and Time Warner Cable Enterprises LLC. Charter maintains the transaction is in the public interest because it will provide a net benefit to New Jersey customers by providing Charter accelerated and attractive opportunities and greater flexibility to obtain more favorable debt financing terms, while granting protection and relief to the New Jersey franchises and assets from guarantees and asset securitizations of the parent companies. Charter does not expect the transaction to result in any diminution of service in the Bergen system, with no changes to the day-to-day management and operation of the system or disruptions to rates, terms, and conditions of Charter's current operations in New Jersey. It is expected to be entirely seamless and invisible to New Jersey customers. On October 13th, 2020, the New Jersey Division of Rate Counsel filed comments indicating they had no objection to the board approval of the petition. Staff's review of the petition and all information provided by the petitioners indicates that SNYM will continue to maintain the financial resources and technical qualifications necessary to provide safe, adequate, and proper service under the new New Jersey subsidiary. Staff therefore recommends board approval of the transaction, subject to certain conditions more fully set forth within the order. Among these conditions, Charter will, number one, be required to file an FCC Form 394 application for franchising authority consent to assignment or transfer of control of a television system franchise to formally transfer the new franchises to the new SNJ entity. Two, Charter will withdraw its petition filed on September 16, 2020 in docket number CF 20090597, seeking approval to participate in certain financing arrangements. And three, Charter will file an affidavit certifying it has undertaken all necessary steps to exclude the new entity, SNJ, as a guarantor and pledger of its assets from all Charter debt.
Do I have a motion?
You're muted. Second. I think Mariana moved it and I seconded it.
I went to move it. I didn't hear the recommendation.
Oh, okay.
To approve it.
Right.
Staff recommends approval of the petition, Commissioner.
Thank you. That's it. That's okay. Thank you.
Second.
Thank you. Any questions or comments for Lawanda?
Yeah, Mr. President, Lavanda, is that are there the guarantor or non-guarantor of Charter's debt?
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, Commissioner?
Yeah, somewhere I read it. It says that they are a non-guarantor of Charter's debt.
As part of the approval of this petition, the new New Jersey entity will be a non-guarantor of Charter's debt going forward.
I thought I heard. Okay, great. Thank you.
Yes.
Lawanda,
Yes.
I know that our control or oversight of cable and internet services, internet, nothing, but cable is minimal and basically focuses on customer service. I don't know about my colleagues, but I hear more and more comments and complaints, frankly, regarding cable service regarding those who provide Wi-Fi service, where people lose their Wi-Fi for days upon days. Wi-Fi service days upon days, and it's almost a constant flow of complaints regarding these companies, and one company in particular, which I'm not going to mention, but it's really customer service is all that we oversee, really. And just a word to the cable companies. Provide that service. People are paying a lot of money on a monthly basis to procure that service. Not only for cable TV, but for Wi-Fi. And with a lot of our children studying and going to school via the computer these days, that Wi-Fi service is vital to their learning. And it's unconscionable to me that some of these providers allow people to be without Wi-Fi service for days upon days upon days. I don't like to get those kind of complaints. I don't like to get those kind of phone calls. But it's something these companies have to focus on and not take for granted. And these companies have to, in my opinion, provide the kind of service that people are paying for. These services are not cheap. Cost a lot of money. And I get the feeling, and maybe it's only me, that these companies are not providing the kind of service that our citizens deserve. That's all I have to say on that. It really is disturbing to me. But
Thank you, Mr. President, for pointing that out. As you know, we do have a staff that's dedicated to taking cable TV complaints, and I'll just take a moment to shout them out, as the governor says. Terry Priatka, Larry Hodis, and Shadi Salar, who do a phenomenal job taking the cable complaints. And as you mentioned, they tend to be voluminous, particularly in the areas of customer service. And as you stated, with many residents facing a great need for the Wi-Fi service with working from home, and as well as teaching from home, their students. So we continue to monitor those complaints and try to maintain communications with the companies to ensure, to the best of our ability, that they are meeting the customer service requirements that we still have authority to enforce.
And your division does a wonderful job, Luanda. I want to make mention.
Thank you.
And my comments can be taken as a warning to these companies that we're not pleased, and they can disregard us as much as they want, but if we're not pleased, things got to change. Any other comments?
Yeah, Mr. President, one thing I noticed, you talked about the high cost. There are a lot of equipment that go with the cable services, like the boxes, because of the digital television. And I think the prices are, they're all rental. They cannot own it even after 2, 3, 4, 5 years. And I think we should at least let the FCC know that it's causing hardship on some people who are having hard time paying their bills. Maybe we can, I don't know whether it's procedurally, I don't know what is the right thing, but I think as a board, we should let FCC know that New Jersey's cable customers not only affected in the services, Wi-Fi services, etc., but also having hardship in paying for some of the auxiliary equipment like the boxes because of the rentals.
And maybe, Ada, there is if my colleagues agree, an idea there for maybe a resolution from the board to the FCC. We make comments. I'm not sure that they hear us or pay attention to us, but if we can get something on the record we can discuss later if no one has a major objection to that, and it would be brought before the board to approve or disapprove, obviously, and so on.
President, just to pile on, I think
Pile on, Holden.
Commissioner Chivukula brings up a great point. I know even if you install an extra outlet, so say you were going to move a box from one room to another, you get charged for that outlet even if nothing's connected to it every month. So there's it seems to be an expansion of charges and a refinement of charges. But I also have to give a shout out when you're able to get someone to come to your house to do the service or work on the lines. They're as hardworking as our electric line people. It's just that getting them directed to where the problem is. And it's extremely frustrating. I've heard that from numerous mayors because, that's the first line of defense. You've got a problem after the storms, your electric's out, your Wi-Fi's out, your schools aren't in session. There's, it's not that there's nothing for children to do, but they have to have access. Their parents have to have access. If you don't have that Wi-Fi service or know who even to call, and you just punch the number in, hopefully somebody calls back. It's just that customer service piece that's missing. Once the people get to your home or whatever, they couldn't be nicer, they couldn't be more helpful. There's just that piece that's missing. And I don't understand why cable companies are this way. And it's pretty much across the board. Well, some have, we've beaten up on them. Others have beaten up on some of them, and they have improved slightly. But it's very difficult. And I appreciate, LaWanda, what you and your staff have to go through, because you're the next line of defense when you get so frustrated. And I'm sure you've gotten numerous calls after after Isaias. So I'll be all for a resolution.
Okay, any other comments or questions for LaWanda? Hearing none, roll call, Ada.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. And one more, LaWanda.
Yes, one more item, also regarding charter. Item 3B involves an offer of settlement proffered by Spectrum New York Metro LLC, or SNYM, formerly known as Time Warner Cable New York LLC, to settle allegations that SNYM failed to obtain approval from the board pursuant to the New Jersey State Cable Television Act prior to engaging in 17 financial transactions between 2016 and 2020 that resulted in the guaranteeing and pledging of its assets to secure debt financings. SNYM, a wholly owned subsidiary of Charter Cable, is the franchise cable TV operator providing service to 14 towns located in Bergen and Hudson counties in New Jersey, known as the Bergen System. The alleged deficiencies were uncovered during the course of a review and investigation of SNYM's financial filings conducted by staff of the Office of Cable Television and Telecommunications. The office alleges that SNYM was not conforming to provisions of the New Jersey State Cable Television Act at NJSA 48:5A-42, which requires board approval prior to a cable TV provider issuing any stocks, bonds, notes, or other evidence of indebtedness. Staff's review alleges that SNYM failed to obtain board approval prior to 5 transactions involving credit facility refinancing, 11 transactions involving secure bond offering, and 1 transaction involving mortgage note payment guarantee. In order to resolve this matter and avoid the cost of litigation, SNYM submitted an offer of settlement on October 8th, 2020, agreeing to remedial and corrective action and a payment of a $156,000 penalty. Staff has reviewed the offer and considered the breadth and severity of the current allegations and the maximum allowable violation provisions permitted under NJSA 48:5A-51. Staff believes that the offer represents a reasonable settlement in view of the alleged violations and recommends board approval. Before the commission takes a vote, I'd just like to once again shout out my staff at the Office of Cable TV and Telecommunications and thank them immensely for going above and beyond and getting both of these matters prepared for today's agenda at lightning speed to accommodate the company's request for expedited treatment. My eternal thanks goes to Jeff Kaufman, Amy Drummond, Gloria Furlong, and Bill Furlong, as well as Carol Artali from the counsel's office and our DASG at the Attorney General's office. Staff recommends approval of the offer of settlement.
So moved.
Second.
LaWanda, this only shows why the wheels keep turning at the BPU. And we really haven't skipped a beat here during this pandemic. It's because of the dedicated service of folks that you just mentioned. And it really is an honor to be working with them. Any questions for LaWanda regarding this? Hearing none, roll call, please.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Farrellyso.
Yes. Thank you, LaWanda.
Thank you very much, commissioners. Have a great day.
You too.
Two.
There are no items under telecommunications or water or reliability and security or customer assistance. That brings us to clean energy. And the first item in clean energy is going to be presented by Kelly and was discussed in executive session. Kelly?
Good morning, Mr. President, Commissioners. Can you hear me?
Yes, ma'am.
Great. This item pertains to an extension of the New Jersey Clean Energy Program Administrator contract. According to the terms of the current contract, the contract may be extended for an additional year. Staff requests board approval of an extension to this contract for a period of 1 year to ensure continued uninterrupted provision of clean energy programs while staff develops a request for proposal for a program administrator for the next generation of energy efficiency programs.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments for Kelly? Roll call, please, Ada.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Farrellyso.
Yes. Thank you, Kelly.
Thank you.
The next two items, B and C, are going to be presented by Scott Hunter. And so let's start with 8B, Scott. Mount Olive Solar Farms.
Hello, Commissioners.
Hi, Scott.
Hi there.
On April 9th, 2020, Mount Olive Solar submitted its application to the board to have its project certified as being located on a properly closed sanitary landfill pursuant to subsection T of the Solar Act. The applicant's 28.2 megawatt DC project is proposed to be located on 65 acres of land controlled by Gold Mine Road Solar at block 4100 lot 10, 149 Gold Mine Road in Mount Olive Township, Morris County, New Jersey. After reviewing the application for administrative completeness, staff provided the application to the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection for review. On August 6, 2020, the DEP issued its advisory memorandum to staff with the determination that the 65 acres requested for subsection T certification at the Comeville North landfill constitutes a properly closed sanitary landfill as defined by the Solar Act. The DEP further described how on June 9th, 2020, they entered into an administrative consent order with the Mount Olive Solar and Gold Mines Road Solar entities to allow for a solar facility on the landfill and to identify the roles and responsibilities for continued operation and maintenance of the site and treatment of groundwater contamination. DEP noted that the solar installation will constitute the construction of improvements on a closed landfill pursuant to the law, and accordingly, the property owner will need the approval of a modification to the closure and post-closure plan from the department, as well as any other permits identified by the department, and approval from any other applicable state or federal agency. The approval for construction of improvements on the closed landfill needs to address impacts on the environmental controls in place at the site, such as the protection and reestablishment of the final cap or cover, leachate collection, gas collection, stormwater collection systems, settlement slope stability, and control of erosion, in addition to ongoing maintenance and monitoring during the post-closure period. Consistent with these requirements, the property owner and the operator of the solar facility should ensure that all future operations continue to protect the integrity of the landfill's cap. In order to obtain full certification for TRECs, the applicant must show that it has, by the time full certification is sought, completed the proper maintenance and mowing of the landfill cap and site, assess the condition of the venting system, and complete the proper maintenance, renew necessary air permits as required under the Administrative Code Title 7, Chapter 27, Subchapter 8 and/or 22, and that the since expired permits and renewal fees be updated. Staff recommends the board find that the DEP's requirements must be addressed and grant conditional certification of the applicant's proposed solar electric generation facility to be located on the 65 acres requested for subsection T certification at the Conefield North landfill. Finally, staff recommends the board direct Mount Olive Solar to submit an initial transition incentive program registration package within 14 days of the effective date of this order, or the order granted by the board, in accordance with the Administrative Code's Title 14, Chapter 8, Subchapter 2.4, and to complete construction within 2 years in accordance with the Administrative Code's Title 14, Chapter 8, Subchapter 10.4. Staff also recommends that the board directs staff to issue full certification to the project upon the applicant's demonstration that all requirements for full certification, including all NJDEP requirements and all TREC eligibility requirements for full certification, have been satisfied, provided that the project commences commercial operations within those 2 years of acceptance into the TI program.
And that's your recommendation?
Yes, ma'am.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments for Scott?
Thank you, Mr. President. Scott, I think, do we have any more of this subsection T projects? Because they're pretty expensive, right? They're costly.
Subsection T projects are eligible for the full 1.0 TREC factor at $152 per megawatt hour. And there are quite a few applications in various stages of the pipeline.
Okay.
From application to DEP review to conditional certification.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments?
Yeah, just, certainly this is the type of project that, and place where we are looking to get, this size solar bill, but it also highlights the issue of, coming up against the cap and, the expense of the solar program, how hard it is to actually calculate, what these costs are going to be to the ratepayer. I know you've made projections, Scott, in the past as to what we could expect for this TREC program, and it's looking like it's going to go well beyond what we had anticipated, and something for us to keep in mind moving forward, especially with the successor program, the tremendous expense that this has, over the lifetime of the program imposed upon New Jersey ratepayers, and not I know equity has been an issue and one that we're trying to address. But, it always has not been, the case where it's most, those who are getting the benefit are always paying. But as for this project, certainly it's a location, something that, we do endorse. So just something for the commissioners to keep in mind moving forward with respect to, these programs and subsidies.
Any other questions or comments? Roll call, Ada, please.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiorelisa.
Yes. The next item, Scott, involving ERP Renewable Energy.
Yes, sir. On June 27th, 2019, EPP Renewable Energy submitted an application to the board to certify 0.233 megawatts DC, or 233 kilowatts of capacity on a properly closed sanitary landfill pursuant to subsection T of the Solar Act. The proposed project is to be located on the same 140 acres of land as a 2.97 megawatt DC facility that was constructed by EPP and certified for SREX by the board pursuant to an order issued in June 2017. Pensacon Landfill is located at 9600 River Road in Pensacon Township, Camden County. After reviewing the application for administrative completeness, staff provided the application to the DEP for review. On September 14, 2020, the DEP issued its advisory memorandum to staff with the determination that the proposed solar array, as rendered in the maps attached to the application, is located on a properly closed sanitary landfill as defined by the Solar Act. However, in order to obtain full certification, the DEP recommended additional considerations must be met. The DEP noted that the solar installation, the construction of improvements on a properly closed sanitary landfill. As such, the property owner will need to obtain an approval from the Division of Solid and Hazardous Waste for construction of the improvements, as well as any other permits identified by the DEP, and approval from any other applicable state or federal agency prior to construction. EPP must comply with all requirements and conditions set forth by a licensed site remediation professional and address impacts on the environmental controls in place at the site, such as the protection and reestablishment of the final cap and cover, leachate collection, gas collection, stormwater collection systems, settlement, slope stability, and control of erosion. Ongoing maintenance and monitoring during the post-closure period were also noted as necessary, and the property owner and operator of the solar facility should ensure that all future operations continue to protect the integrity of the cap. Staff recommends that the board find that the DEP's requirements must be addressed and grant conditional certification of the applicant's proposed solar electric generation facility to be located within the 25 acres of Area D at the Pensacon Landfill identified in the application, with an array size not to exceed 0.233 megawatts DC. To obtain full certification, staff recommends the board direct the applicant to demonstrate to staff that all the conditions described by the DEP have been met. Finally, staff recommends the board direct the EPP to submit an initial transition incentive program registration package within 14 days of the effective date of an order granting this conditional certification in accordance with the Administrative Code's Title 14, Chapter 8, Subchapter 2.4, and to complete construction within 2 years in accordance with the Administrative Code's Title 14, Chapter 8, Subchapter 10.4. Staff also recommends that the board direct staff to issue full certification to the project upon the applicant's demonstration that all requirements for full certification, including all the DEP requirements and all the TREC eligibility requirements for eligibility, have been satisfied, provided that the project commences commercial operations within the 2 years of acceptance into the TI program.
So moved.
Thank you.
Second.
Questions, comments for Scott? Hearing none. Roll call, please, Ada.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. Thank you, Scott. Have a good day.
You too.
And as we continue with clean energy, it brings us down to item D. Ben Goldstein.
Yeah, good morning, everybody.
Good
Can you hear
morning,
me okay?
Ben. Yes, sir.
Great. As you can see, I'm here in the friendly confines of Trenton State House Annex Committee Room 4. If you look around, you might recognize it. So item 8D concerns a commercial and industrial application over $500,000 submitted by DSM Nutritional Products, LLC. DSM submitted a large energy users program application requesting board approval of a financial incentive of $929,379.43. The incentive would be utilized to install energy conservation measures that have a total cost of $4,250,000 at a facility in Belvedere, New Jersey. The application covers the replacement of the subject facility's existing chillers with 3 new highly efficient 1,000-ton chiller units. DSM requires a constant supply of chilled water at their Belvedere facility, and the new system will meet chilled water needs while consuming significantly less energy throughout the year. The new chillers will also utilize a more environmentally friendly refrigerant, which has lower global warming potential than the existing system does. Annually, the proposed project is anticipated to conserve 4,689,025 kilowatt hours of electricity and reduce peak demand by 42.26 kilowatts per year. The project also has an estimated annual energy cost savings of $468,902.50, which will greatly benefit the company and New Jersey ratepayers at large. The payback period without incentives is 9.06 years, and when factoring in the incentives, the payback period is reduced to 7.08 years, so it takes just about 2 years off the payback period. And staff recommends approval of this application for the total estimated incentive amount.
So moved.
Second.
Any questions or comments for Ben? Don't forget that 50 cents, Ben.
Important.
You got it. Hearing none. Roll call, Ada.
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Fiordaliso.
Yes. And item E regarding Bristol Myers Squibb.
Yes. So Bristol Myers Squibb, or BMS, submitted a large energy users program application requesting a total financial incentive of $815,483.78 for a project that will cost $1,949,867. The proposed project would take place at 3 locations across New Jersey. The locations are 1 Squibb Drive in New Brunswick, 3401 Princeton Pike in Lawrenceville, and 3551 Lawrenceville Road, also in Lawrenceville, New Jersey. So 1 New Brunswick location and 2 separate locations in Lawrenceville. The energy conservation measures proposed in this application vary by location. At the New Brunswick location, custom steam insulation blankets will be installed at over 254 exposed points throughout the steam piping network in order to reduce heat losses. At the Princeton Pike location, new occupancy-based lighting controls will be installed to reduce runtime of existing LED lighting on the 4th floor offices, 3rd floor offices, and 4 perimeter stair towers at this facility. And the Lawrenceville Road location will feature the most extensive upgrades of the 3 project sites. In addition to installing custom steam insulation blankets at 490 exposed points, existing pressure reducing valve controls will be retrofitted with digital controls that will be tied into the building automation system to allow pressure set points to be reduced based on necessary instantaneous steam load. Also, an existing constant fan motor cooling tower will be replaced with a more efficient tower, which features variable speed, electronically commutated motors that reduce fan speed while maintaining the condenser water set point. Finally, 2 existing gas compressors will be replaced with new compressors that have variable frequency drives and controls to optimize system efficiency by regulating gas flow based on need. BMS estimates that this project will annually accomplish the following: conserve 1,396,449 kilowatt hours of electricity and 141,166 therms of natural gas, reduce peak demand by 69 kilowatts, and result in energy cost savings of $209,373.14. The payback period without incentives is 9.31 years, and when factoring in the incentives, the payback period is reduced down to 5.42 years. And staff recommends approval of this application for the total estimated incentive amount.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments for Ben?
Mr. President,
Yes,
I'm
sir.
going to be recusing myself from this matter.
Okay, thank you. Roll call, Ada?
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
President Farlisa.
Yes. Thank you, Ben.
Thank you guys. Have a good day.
You too. And that brings us to Jim Ferris on an item that we discussed, item F, in executive session. Jim, do you want to enlighten us?
Yes, good morning again, Mr. President and Commissioners. This matter asks the board to authorize a modification to the existing contract between the board and Ramble US Corporation for the development of the offshore wind strategic plan. Modification is due to out-of-scope work related to the number and scope of revisions to both the draft and final strategic plan necessary to incorporate comments from New Jersey state agencies and stakeholders. Staff believes that the additional work was necessary to complete the plan as directed by Governor Murphy's Executive Order number 8. Staff recommends that the board authorize a modification to the Ramble contract as discussed today in executive session.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments? Roll call, Ada?
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Farlisa.
Yes. Thank you, Jim.
You're welcome. Thank you, Commissioners.
And that brings us to miscellaneous item 9A, which was also discussed in executive session regarding ZEX. Kevin Nesda is presenting.
Good morning, Commissioners. Can you
Good
hear
morning,
me?
Kevin.
Yes.
Morning, sir. Thank you. As discussed in executive session, staff is before you today to request the approval of a consultant for the second ZEC eligibility period. The board approved the issuance of the RFQ for this matter back on August 12th, and the evaluation committee has now prepared a recommendation for the selection of the bidder. This matter is currently pending at the Department of the Treasury, and as such, we are not at liberty to announce the name of the bidder at this time. Further, if approved by the board today, the contract would not go into effect until we also receive Treasury approval. Thank you.
So moved.
Second.
Questions, comments for Kevin? Roll call, please, Ada?
On the motion to approve staff's recommendation, Commissioner Holden,
Yes.
Commissioner Solomon,
Yes.
Commissioner Chivukula,
Yes.
Commissioner Gordon,
Yes.
President Farlisa.
Yes. Thank you, Kevin. And thank you, Ken. That completes our agenda items and so on. And I would like to ask you all to stay safe. Take care of yourselves and take care of one another. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Have a good day, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank-